Hi everyone, welcome back to Scrap Happiness Studio. And what you've been enjoying looking at is a fabulous collection of Mariner's compasses and stars that were given to me and made by my friend Claire Teagan. I think she gave them to me because when she was trying to work with them all together, it was a little overwhelming. And I felt that way too. So I and also the reason I was reminded of this stash is because I'm using the technique that I demonstrated last week in piecing a unit into another piece of fabric. And you can see I've already started doing that by giving all these stars a similar background. And just for a quick refresher, I'll quickly demonstrate that again, although I'm not going to sew it because someone had advised me that that was a little on the boring side, because we already know how to sew all these together. Okay, so remember the whole thing on piecing deep curves like a circle is to break the curves up into smaller units. So there's our cut one. Oh, my blade might not be as sharp as it needs to be. And you're just watching here, you're following this circle to make sure you're not cutting an impossible to piece curve. So that's my last cut. So remember, we want to piece this back together in the same or in the opposite order of which we cut. So we're going to sew this piece on first, then this piece. Of course, you got to build your puzzle back together here. And then this piece. And then that piece on there. So, as I said, I've already done that with a number of the blocks because I think all these stars have a similar kind of feel to them, so they might all go together into one piece, but I'm not going to try to piece all of them together into one massive unit. The larger you work on a piece of artwork, the harder it gets, just physically and perhaps mentally. So then the next thing I did was to run into my stash and look for fabrics that might go with these blocks. And I came up with this and this. And this fun stuff. I love fabric like this. I don't know if you can see, there's little sequins in here. So they're already doing a lot of the work for you, and they give suggestions to me on how to quilt this. And I dug out some yarns that might be good. And I had this very fun fabric that I thought maybe I could cut motifs out like this, and maybe even cut out these little ones to piece onto here. And then I made some new of this technique that I will show you in a later video, but I haven't really perfected it, but I have used it a lot in my artwork. I put down a piece of parchment paper and then a sheet of Misty Fuse, and then I drop lots of yarn, and I've done lots of embroidery floss and other fun things on here. And you can see I could take this off and cut shapes for embellishment out of it. So that might find its way into some of these works, although it might be a little too glitzy, but you never know until you actually try to piece them together. And then one of the blocks was quite different from the others because it's quieter. So I have this wonderful new fabric from Marcia Dersey that I think I'll have lots of fun, and this fabric really suggests a lot of hand piecing to me. Hello, fellow sewists. It's been a couple days since the last segment, and I wanted to share with you the progress I've made with Claire's beautiful blocks. This was the easiest one for me to figure out because this block was so different than all the others that I knew I wanted it to be on its own. And I had this wonderful Marcia Dursey fabric that prompts me to do a lot of hand stitching on this one. The second one was one of the unfinished blocks, and I just fused a yellow circle in the center. And just as a cautionary tale, this block was so wonky and wavy that I think what happened is that I was not super careful putting my puzzle back together, and I don't think I sewed the right pieces together, and I recut it again along here to try to get it to lie down, which it is with the help of some stray starch. But be careful when you're reassembling your puzzle. Make sure you press everything first and make sure everything's matching before you sew them together. And then this one I had the 8 blocks that looked like they really belonged together. So I'll show you in picture form how I did that. But what I ended up having to do, as you can see here, is to get these blocks to kind of form a circle. I had to add extra pieces on to each one so I had enough so that I could overlap them and sew them together into the 3 rows. And this one, I've been so eager to use this fabric that I painted, and but this was the other block that was unfinished, and I just put the yellow circle in there. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to machine piece this because this paint is pretty stiff. It'd be really hard to hand stitch through, although I could do some hand stitching here, so watch for that. And I wanted to talk about something that's pretty important, that my friend and favorite teacher Albert Cote shared with me. This piece, well, here, I'll just share it with you. There's a product on the market called Battleizer, or this is Bosel brand Stabil Bat. It's a backing for machine embroiderers, and it's half stabilizer and half batting. So its great joy is it's very stable, and you can either hand or machine piece through it. And the way Al has shared with me to do this is just put this on the back of your piece, do all the handwork and machine work you want, and then put another backing on the back to disguise all your stitching, which is a great blessing because it means you don't have to be super neat on the back. Now, the difference between that and regular batting, which I will demonstrate. So here's the Stabil Bat, or stable bat. It has some stretch this way, but not too much this way and not too much this way. It's quite stable, where compared to regular batting can stretch all over the place. And so on a piece like this, you could actually do a fabric collage, machine stitch all over it to stabilize it, and then hand stitch without a lot of distortion happening. And that is a really wonderful benefit. So next time you're shopping, you might want to pick up some of this stabilizer that's made for machine embroiderers. Okay, and then next time I'll show you the progress I'm making of the number of pieces I've got in process. Thanks for joining me. Bye.